G'day guys, Mackie with the Outer Circle, and look, I had a video planned for today. I'll push it back to later in the week, probably Thursday at this point, which people will probably find interesting. No real spoilers for it, but it involves Primarchs and 8th edition, so something different. Now today, however, certain things have happened online within the Heresy community, and not the 40k community as such, that I think need addressing, because I don't like the way it's panned out. And I'm not some namby-pamby, fucking politically correct person. Everyone who watches this channel knows this. But I think it's important to sort of set a few goals whenever we have any discussion on the internet. Now, obviously, Warhammer 40,000 8th edition, in my opinion, is a fucking dumpster fire. That said, some people love it. And a person here has written to Forge World on their Facebook page and said this load of garbage. Dear Forge World, after playing Warhammer 40,000 8th edition and then going back and playing Horus Heresy with the 7th edition rules, I have to say, please release 8th edition rules for the Horus Heresy. Myself and my playgroup find the 7th edition rules are unplayable after using 8th edition. They, 7th ed rules, simply come across as confusing complication for sophistication, both adding needless work to the players, getting in the way of having fun. I know some players lament the lack of armour facing, but honestly, the number of players that simply use mass melter bomb assaults, front and side armour is practically irrelevant anyway. If you think the game really needs that, then vary the armour save by facing. Now, by all means, make an advanced 8th edition if you feel there is an actual hole in the game, but really, compared to 8th edition, 7th edition rules are simply make a game tedious. Sadly, I for one will not be playing or buying any additional Horus Heresy products from Forge World until 8th edition rules are at least announced. Now, there's a lot of grammatical errors in there, please forgive me. I didn't write it, so obviously not something for me to easily read through. I'm not going to simply deconstruct this right now, because it's part of a twofold problem. Because this writing up the top, you know what to do, ladies and gents. Go let Frank, the name of this person, and Forge World know you want 7th ed to stay. There's a problem here, and the problem is entirely with this upper statement. What Frank has said doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Go on there and refute him by all means, if you feel you need to. But when you write it as, you know what to do, ladies and gents, go let Frank and Forge World know what you want, it comes across as basically giving people a blank check to be assholes. Now, far be it for me to say, don't be an asshole on the internet, because I am an asshole on the internet. There's like 200-something videos on this channel of me being an asshole on the internet, so we're not exactly breaking new ground here, but if you are trying to convince Games Workshop or Forge World of the superiority of your ideas or the people behind it, the way to go about it is with sort of objective reasoning and a balanced viewpoint. My personal response on the topic was that, frankly, a lot of people can enjoy both. I personally don't like 8th edition. Some people do like 8th edition. There are also those that kind of like 8th edition, but admit that it has failings. And with these things in mind, like, you can't just say that 7th ed or 8th ed is the way to go. For Heresy, I do believe 7th ed is the way to go, however, because of the simple fact that if you do turn Horus Heresy into 8th edition rules, basically you just have a bigger range of factions to pick from for 40k. It's the same game at that point. 40k already has most of the Heresy equipment available in some capacity, thanks to relic Sakarans and things like that. So, all the toys are there already. I don't think Heresy needs to go to 8th. Heresy is something that the people who enjoy that style of gameplay, that enjoy the traditional Games Workshop format that lasted from 3rd edition to 7th edition, they have the Heresy and it suits them just fine. It's the last refuge of the people who like that style of gameplay. And if you turn it into another Sigmar clone, you're really just doing a disservice. That's my opinion on that subject. Frank here, yeah, he has a lot of poor points that he makes. Things like mass melter bomb assaults. That's a close combat problem. What about range, buddy? You know, front and side armor is relevant when it comes to getting shot at. You know, I'd much rather shoot a las cannon into the side of a Land Raider than the flare shielded front of one, for example, because shooting it equivalent of armor 15, not cool. The final thing I want to really bring up here, between the things that, you know, the two people that are posting here, and I'm not going to insult either of them, I just think both of them went about this the wrong way, but is the people in the comments below who were saying, oh, I don't think it's constructive to go on there and post. Well, no, you see, if Forge World only gets responses like this, say they get 100 people that say, we want Horus Heresy to go to 8th edition, they'll probably do it. What they need is a counter viewpoint. They need people who say, we don't want you to do that, we like this. Therefore, it is relevant to respond to them. But you've got to do it in the right way. If you just go on there and say, 8th is shit, you're a dickhead, Forge World is just going to brush that off. I would probably brush that off, because it's no reasoning or logic in it. I mean, 8th is a fucking dumpster fire, but still. Also, for those who do say that, you know, oh, 8th edition is incredibly popular, 7th edition is not, there's two things I want you to keep in mind. First, what a lot of people think of as 7th edition is late 7th edition 40k, which was another dumpster fire. Can't get enough mileage out of the dumpster fire quote. They don't think of how good the Horus Heresy operates under that set of rules. They also forget that 8th edition is very new. You know, when 6th edition came out, when 7th edition came out, people didn't turn around on day one and say, this is fucking terrible. I mean, some people obviously did. Forgive me for... don't take me too literally, I should say, but, you know, it takes time to get a feel for an edition. Like, you're probably talking a good year to 2 years of having an edition before you really know the quality of it, and can make real judgments about it. Not me, I'm of course perfect, and I know immediately when I look at a fucking codex or a rulebook how good or bad it is, but that's like a shit superpower. And I'm modest too. But, yeah, 8th is right in that early hype stage. There's new factions, heaps of new releases, things like Gilliman coming back, the plotline moving forward. This is all generating hype at maximum potential. So the people who are into 8th edition, they have to keep in mind that that is sort of, you know, tinting the glasses, if you will. They're not really looking at the game correctly, if I dare say so, because they're only seeing the positive attributes. It's like people who are big fans of DC films. The minute fucking Justice League comes out, they're like, oh, it's going to be the best thing ever. The minute Batman vs Superman comes out, oh, it's going to be the best thing ever. And inevitably, it's not. And then they defend it hard, because they just can't, their mind just can't accept that something that they really love isn't the best ever. And we've got that same problem right now, because you've got a lot of people who love 8th edition, but they're also being hit hard by the hype. And people are starting to burn out from that hype, and they're going, oh, well, actually, 8th edition has a lot of flaws. And with that in mind, keeping in mind what I've just said, just today, this is one of the polls that I saw. Now, this is only representative of a very small group of people, and it's only representative of the people that are on that page. And of course, that page is going to draw in people who have a similar mindset. But I think it is still worth noting that in this environment, and this is a Horus Heresy page, mind you, not a 40k page, that clearly people want the Horus Heresy in 7th edition. Quite clearly, you're talking, you know, about 3.5 to 1 ratio here. Well, we'll say 3. We'll say 3 to 1. 3 to 1 ratio of people want it to say 7th edition. Now, if you went to a 40k page and asked, you're going to get the reverse of that, the obverse, as it were. But they're people who have a vested interest in what 40k is now, which is an 8th edition game. So, me personally, I'm in the 7th edition camp. I'm going to pick 7th edition because I like that. I think that 8th edition has a lot of flaws, as we've been through before. Especially in the fluff department, I just can't get on board with the fluff. It's just fucking atrocious, but we'll talk about that another time. And the gameplay has flaws. I'm not saying 7th doesn't. 7th has plenty of fucking flaws. I'm a Thousand Suns player. That means I do psychers, and there's one thing that 7th Ed does terribly. It's psychics and psychic powers. They're just all over the shop. And they are a clusterfuck. They're overcomplicated, and they've got a lot of problems. But 8th didn't fix that either. So, anyway, in the immortal words of President George Bush, and as I'd successfully achieved all of my goals, such as crushing fantasy and turning 40k into Age of Sigmar, I felt there was no need to ruin the Horus Heresy too. That is definitely a true quote, and I did not make that up for the purposes of this video. I'm Mac with the Outer Circle. Please, thoughts and comments below, and I hope you look forward to the positive video coming at this stage. I'm going to say Thursday, my time. So, about 2.5 days, timing-wise from now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.